Here's the complete list of all 25 solved side quests on the Black Ops 6 Zombies map Terminus. To kick things off, you can get a free Perkaholic by killing 50 red fish with any type of explosive. These fish can be found in certain shallow bodies of water, and you can easily spot them by looking for splashes on the water surface. So far, it seems like they primarily spawn around the biolab, the docks, the shipwreck, and Crab Island, so those are going to be the main areas you'll want to be checking. Now, most times, a handful of about 2 to 3 fish will be grouped up in one of those locations, and when you kill them, they'll also drop some loot, which can help you keep count of your progress. You actually don't need to interact with the fish for this to work. As long as they're killed by some kind of explosion or other concussive equipment, you should be good to go. But try to do this without getting too close to them while swimming in the water. If you do, the fish will scatter and you'll have to find more at a different location. So starting in the biolab, you can find some of them along the edge of this entire lower level. You should also be checking the corners by the stairs on both ends. The next location to check is down at the docks. Again, you can pretty much find them along the edges surrounding that entire area, as well as up along the base of the dock's bridge and steps. From there, if you head over to Crab Island, you'll want to focus on the island's front-facing shore, as that's kind of the main strip where they most often appear. And moving on to the shipwreck, you can find some more potential spots around the corners at the base of the ship where you enter with your raft. Then if you head around to the inside part of the ship, the fish can also appear next to the hatch's ladder, as well as in that other darker section. Anyway, once you've killed 50 fish in total, you will automatically receive all of the perks. For the next one, you can actually use one of those fish to temporarily upgrade your weapon's ammo mod. To do that, again, you'll need to kill a red fish with an explosive. Then you'll need to collect an item that represents the ammo mod currently applied to your weapon or the one you intend to use. So the item for Napalm Burst can be found between 2 crates in the mess hall. The one for Shadow Rift is located at the base of these stairs leading up to Quick Revive. Cryo Freeze can be found on top of a fridge on the 2nd floor of the Jug Room. Deadwire is located on this front desk as soon as you enter the engineering area. And finally, Brain Rock can be found down in the Biolab, resting on a scale near the entrance to the Speed Colo Cave. Once you've collected your ammo mod of choice, go ahead and make your way back to the mess hall and pick up the cooking oil on a shelf in this corner. Now, if you continue to interact with one of these 2 pans, you'll first place the oil, then the fish, and finally the ammo mod ingredient. After that, go ahead and flip the round, then try to listen for this activation sound. Now, if you interact with the pan, you'll eat the fish, which will temporarily buff your weapon so that pretty much every kill activates your ammo mod. This is a very fun Easter egg to play around with, but unfortunately, it only lasts for about 40 to 50 seconds. After a few rounds, you can repeat these steps again by going back, collecting your item, and then cooking another fish with it, but after that second time, the ingredient will no longer respawn. Moving on, there's one more trick you can do with those fish, and that's to get back the 5,000 points you spent bribing Peck for the Beamsmasher numbers. So of course, you'll need to have first paid Peck for the numbers, then if you come back to the mess hall and cook a single fish in just the oil and nothing else, when you flip the round, you'll be given the option to either take or eat the fish. Go ahead and take it, then return to Peck at the guard station. You should now be able to give him the fish, and as a thank you, he'll refund those 5,000 points. Next up, there are 7 free power-ups hidden around the map that you can activate at any time. The first one we'll start with can be found in the Quick Revive room. You'll want to look for a bucket outside of the room's corner zombie spawn. It can be a bit difficult to see, but if you shoot in this general area, a max armor will spawn at your location. For the second power-up, go ahead and make your way outside to the Pack-a-Punch lift above ground. If you look up at the right corner of this guard tower, you'll see a max ammo just barely peeking out. From there, the third one can be found over by the sea tower. If you step out onto the landing and look toward the nearby tower across the water, you should be able to see a full power sitting along the inside of this support beam. Next, the fourth power-up is located down in the biolab. If you make your way to that upper observation office along the outer platform, you can find a double point tucked behind some boxes on this counter. For the fifth one, go ahead and take a raft over to Crab Island. If you make your way to the armor wall by, you'll find a free nuke tucked away inside this nearby zombie spawn. From there, the sixth one can be found on the shipwreck. If you approach the right side of the ship's control tower and look up through the lower window, you should see a bonus points resting on top of this ledge. And finally, the seventh power-up is located on Temple Island. If you take a look at that center temple, you can find an Instakill sitting on this top left edge. Next is the cursed Talisman Easter egg. To do this, you'll first need to buy Melee Macchiato. Once you've got that, head over to the sea caves, and if you make your way behind Speed Cola, there's going to be a section of the cave wall that you can actually punch through to reveal the remains of Captain Greg. After some dialogue, the captain will mark a specific part of this map with a red X. You'll need to take a look at that location on your own map and head over there to find and collect the captain's watch. With that, you'll then head back to the captain and interact with him to return it. From there, he'll then mark 3 more locations on the map. What you now have to do is visit those locations and burn the remains of 3 skeletons with Molotovs. Now, these locations will always be the same, and they can be done in any order, so we're just going to start with the Castle Rock Island. The skeleton can be found right next to this blue generator, and when you toss down the Molotov, an HVT Mangler will spawn that you'll have to kill. Once you do, it'll drop a cursed coin that you can pick up. Now, this coin actually doubles the amount of time it takes for you to heal once damaged. So if you want, you can go ahead and return the coin to Captain Greg now, so you don't have to deal with any of that moving forward. But if you'd rather just finish the next 2 locations without any extra stops, you can do that too. So from there, you're pretty much going to repeat that same process for the remaining 2 locations. The next one is on the shipwreck, and you can find the skeleton resting against the ship's center mast, and then the final one is on Temple Island. It'll be lying right here on the temple's floor. Once you've collected that 3rd cursed coin, you'll head back over to Captain Greg and interact with him once again to receive a handful of legendary weapons. Now from here, all that's left is to wait about 3 rounds until you see a bunch of clouds and lightning above Crab Island. So you do not actually need to be on Crab Island for those 3 rounds. Anyway, if you head over there and have a look around, you should find a glowing chest which will give you the cursed talisman. So as long as this talisman is in your inventory, you'll receive a constant double points. But anytime you take damage, you'll also lose about 10% of your total points. So if at any time you want to get rid of the talisman, all you have to do is go back to that chest on Crab Island and simply return it. Now at the time of posting this video, there's currently a huge bug you can do with this item. Simply collect the talisman, then wait about a minute so you can place it back into the chest. After that, you'll be able to pick it right back up, then you'll wait another minute to repeat that process. Each time you do this, you're essentially going to multiply the double points effect of the talisman while a double points power-up is active. So save a zombie at the end of a round, rinse and repeat that process I just showed you, then either collect the free double points down in the biolab or wait for one to spawn. I think I did this about maybe 8 to 10 times, and as you can see, my points went from 16,000 to over 4 million. I do not expect this to be working for much longer, so if you still have a chance, definitely give it a try. Next up are the free random perk drops. For the first free perk, you'll need to kill enemies that are locked up in cages down in the biolab. To help make things a bit easier during this, you can actually go into your interface settings and turn on high contrast mode in the readability section, which will highlight all enemies in red. Now if you make your way to these cages, you should be able to spot the zombies more easily. So go ahead and kill them, then you'll need to flip the round. On the next one, you'll repeat that same process now with vermin, then you'll have to do it again 1 round later with a mangler. Once that last one is killed, a random perk drop will spawn at your location. To get a second free perk, you'll need to take a raft out and search for an island that's covered with 6 spores. These will only appear on the smaller inaccessible islands, and the locations at which you find them will be different every game. Once you do find the spores, go ahead and shoot them open, then you'll need to flip the round and search the map again until you find them on a new island. So similar to the previous free perk, you'll need to do this a total of 3 times for the next 3 rounds. Now after completing that 3rd island, you're not quite done yet. Go ahead and flip the round, then you need to head over to the Speed Cola cave. There's going to be 4 more spores for you to finish up, and on the very last one, you'll finally be awarded with some loot, including a random perk drop. And finally, to get a 3rd free random perk, you'll need to open 10 underwater chests. These chests have numerous spawn locations, which will be different every game. I've actually gone ahead and marked a handful of common spots all around the map that you can check. In general, it looks like each playable location probably has about 2 to 4 possible spawns, and this includes the waters in the biolab. There are 2 in that main center area, then 1 in each of those left and right cave passageways that lead in and out of the lab. So go ahead and visit some of those spots, or just have a look around the more shallow areas of each location, and you should be able to spot them pretty easily thanks to their little lights. Once you open your 10th chest, you should be given a random perk drop. Next up is the Whack-A-Mole Easter egg. To do this, you'll have to make your way to Crab Island and look up at that middle rock formation. You should see a cage resting above the front-facing rocks, and if you throw some type of explosive or anything you can get a hit marker with, the cage will break open and drop a bunch of crabs. Now, if you crouch down and melee them, you'll be pulled into a minigame where you'll have 30 seconds to whack as many crabs as you can with a bat. As long as you hit at least one crab per rotation, you should get an award. This one will give you a free perk. Now, there's actually 3 more locations you can do this at, and each one gives a different reward. So if you take a right and head down this side path, you'll find another spot, which can give you about 400 salvage. From there, the third location can be found just across from the armor wall buy on the opposite side of the island. This one can give you upwards of 2,000 points. And finally, the last one is just a few steps to the right, down by the back shore, and these crabs will give you a simple weapon. Next up is the boat race Easter egg. To do this, you'll need to find and activate a special toy speedboat. Now, there's actually 3 different speedboat locations, but only one of them will be flashing with a red light. That's the one you need to be looking for. So, starting at Crab Island, if you take a raft around to the far shore and hop out where I do in the video, you'll find the first possible location. Next, if you head over to the backside of the Castle Rock Island, there's going to be a single tree you can line yourself up with to then find the second location directly beneath you. And finally, the last one can be found on the Temple Island. If you circle around to the outer shore and position yourself with that stone column, again, the third location will be resting directly below you. Once you find that flashing boat, go ahead and interact with it. This will launch a mini-game where you actually control the speedboat to navigate through a series of rings. Of course, I did this in solo, but if you're in a co-op game, all of your teammates will also be racing alongside you. Anyway, when you finish, you'll be awarded a trophy based on your score, and it'll give you some free loot. Next up is the map's musical Easter egg. To do this, you'll need to find and activate 3 Mr. Peak's headphones. The first one can be found on the top of a wooden spool when making your way to the jug room from Stamina Up. From there, the second one can be found on a barrel directly behind the 2 minecarts in the PhD cave. And the last set of headphones is located down in the biolab. If you make your way up to the observation office along the outer platform, you'll find the headphones resting on the end of the storage counter. Next up is the Mega-Stuffy Easter egg. To do this, you'll need to find 6 stuffed animals scattered across the map, and you can collect them in any order. The first one we'll start with can be found inside a locker next to the armory in the Stamina room. From there, the second stuffed animal can be found directly to your right when exiting the engineering room on your way to the sea tower. Next, if you make your way to the PhD cave, you can find the third stuffed animal sitting right beside this pallet that's leaning against the wall. And then down in the biolab, the fourth one is located on the base of a monitor just before reaching that upper level crafting table. For the fifth one, you'll need to take a raft over to Crab Island, then head toward the back right side shore, and you should be able to find it sitting next to this light. Then if you make your way across to the shipwreck, you can find the final stuffed animal sitting in the corner of this dumpster. Once you've collected all 6 stuffed animals, go ahead and make your way to the jug room. You'll now notice that all the animals have been teleported onto these numerous beds, and if you interact with one of them, they'll form together to create a Mega-Stuffy. Now this little guy will accompany you for about 3 rounds and even attack zombies. While it's not powerful enough to actually kill anything, it will revive you if you go down as long as you have a self-revive. Unfortunately though, the Mega-Stuffy will not be able to join you in the map's boss fight. Next is the Jumpscare Easter egg. To do this, you'll need to ride the elevator from spawn down to the biolab. Now as soon as the doors close, go ahead and start jumping. If you don't already know what the jump scare is, I'm actually not going to show you. You're gonna have to go and find out for yourself. Moving on, the next one is the satellite Easter egg. To do this, you'll first need a weapon that has the dead wire ammo mod. Once you've got that, go ahead and make your way to the storage area and look outside the map at this antenna. You should see a small electrical spark, and if you shoot it with your dead wire weapon, the antenna will light up like so. From there, you need to quickly run down the stairs, hop over the railing into the jug room, then head out into the engineering area and shoot another spot on this second antenna. If you can do this in time, the top red lights on both antennas will remain lit. After that, all that's left is to end the round, then activate the cannon trap, and it'll shoot down the satellite onto the Castle Rock Island. This Easter egg can give you some pretty decent loot, such as score streaks, ammo mods, and potentially even a free Beamsmasher. Next up is the basketball Easter egg. If you head outside the jug room, you'll notice a basketball resting along the building's roof. What you have to do is climb up onto the edge of these boxes on the opposite side and perform a jump shot to hit the basketball with a pack-punched weapon. If done correctly, it'll roll off right into a hoop in the rec yard, which will explode with thousands of points. Now, this is actually old gameplay, but after the most recent update, by default this will give you 4,000 points. But of course, you can always increase that amount with the help of double points. If you place a C4 just above the hidden points down in the biolab, you can remotely activate it to spawn the power-up once you've shot the basketball. In addition to that, you can also do this while holding the cursed talisman for a grand total of 16,000 free points. And while you're at it, if you head back into the jug room and shoot the balls on the upstairs pool table, you'll get a little something extra as well. Next up is the Craftable Beamsmasher. To start this, the first thing you'll need to do is apply the Deadwire ammo mod to one of your weapons. Once you've got that, go ahead and interact with the Pack-a-Punch terminal so it begins to lift. If your back is facing Pack-a-Punch, you need to look through an approaching window to shoot an electrical box with that Deadwire weapon. This will cause it to zap, then travel to another box on your right, then again to another one directly behind you. Once you've shot those 3, go ahead and hop off the lift to your left and run down to the jug room where you'll shoot another box located above the amp station, and finally head outside to shoot one last box on the same wall. This will open up a research office where you'll need to kill this trapped zombie so she drops an item. Pick that up, then head over to the C tower, which is just past the engineering room. There's going to be a desk on the opposite side of the tower that has a briefcase on it. Go ahead and open that, then collect the multiphasic resonator. Now when you do this, a whole bunch of vermin are going to spawn, so just try to get out of there as quick as you can to avoid being swarmed. Once you've dealt with the vermin, head back to that office and interact with this machine to insert the resonator. Next, you'll need to activate 3 laptops. If you make your way to the lifted Pack-a-Punch platform, there's going to be a set of stairs to your left and right. Each one will lead to a laptop for you to interact with. And then the third one can be found down below the C tower just before the stairs leading to the docks. With all 3 activated, you will now be able to interact with the resonator's machine to enter a sort of combination, which you can acquire by solving a math puzzle using the information on those back whiteboards. Now, there are a few ways you can do this to save some time. You can either bribe Peck 5,000 points at the guard station to have him just give you the numbers, or you can check out the link down below to use a really nice and easy solver that works well on both PC and mobile. All you have to do is select which symbols you see on your machine for X, Y, and Z, then input the numbers it returns. If done correctly, you'll now need to wait until round 9 in order to continue with this quest. Or if you're already past that point, all you have to do is flip the round. Once it's ready, you can go ahead and collect a resonator from that machine in the office, then you'll need to take a raft over to the Castle Rock Island, where you'll now see this glowing orb. When you interact with it, you'll place down the resonator, and then a bunch of zombies will spawn for a small challenge. What'll happen is the orb will shoot energy into a nearby zombie, which will then begin to glow. You need to kill that zombie so it drops the energy, then pick it up and return it to the resonator. This can also be done if you just kill the zombie right on top of the resonator. Now, when holding these, you will not be able to sprint, but you can shoot. And to drop it, all you have to do is reload. So after doing that only 2 times, the orb will fly off to another island where you'll have to repeat the same challenge for a second time, then again for a third. But before you go, be sure to pick the resonator back up. The next location will be on Crab Island. Go ahead and interact with the orb, return the energy it shoots at zombies, then collect the resonator. And finally, the last location will be on the Temple Island. These sequences can be a bit tricky, but if you clear out the swarm of zombies as they come, it'll definitely make returning that energy much easier. Once complete, your screen will go white, and you'll now be able to collect the Beamsmasher's ammunition. From there, all you have to do is head back to the research office, where you'll now be able to craft it at this back workbench. Next is the Sentinel artifact Easter egg. If you happen to find yourself stuck on Temple Island without a working raft, you'll want to look for a carving of the Sentinel artifact from the Black Ops 4 Chaos zombie maps. Now, if you shoot the carving with the Beamsmasher's secondary fire, it'll actually begin to glow white, then teleport you straight back to the guard station at spawn. So far, this is all we know of this Easter egg. It could always be just a quick and easy way to escape that specific island, or perhaps it'll be used to complete an entirely different unsolved Easter egg. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. And finally, the last Easter egg is the underwater oxygen tank. If you throw an explosive at a particular rock next to the Pack-a-Punch lift, you'll uncover a small breathing tank that increases the amount of time you can hold your breath underwater. Now again, it's possible this could be part of a larger quest we just haven't solved yet, especially since there aren't currently any areas or other features that require long dives. But until more is discovered, that is going to wrap up the complete list of 25 side Easter eggs on Terminus. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.